joining us from her home in Catskill, New York. Holly Whitaker. Holly, thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, there are just so many layers to this conversation. I want to start, though, with the
Yes.
title of your book, because you talk about that it's a radical choice to give up drinking and that we become obsessed with it.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And thank you so much for having me first. But yeah, it is. It's an incredibly radical choice. When I stopped drinking about 8 years ago, I did not know anybody that was sober by choice. And we are conditioned to believe that we're supposed to, once we turn 21, indoctrinate ourselves into this culture that is centered around alcohol. We're supposed to do it, we're expected to do it. And as you've seen, I mean, even leading up to the pandemic, women's drinking was out of control. And in pandemic, we've seen a lot of increases, like including the liver disease that you just mentioned, including binge drinking episodes. And so it is something that requires self reflection, that requires awareness, and it's a hard decision to make, but it's also an extremely rewarding decision.
What was behind your decision? Was it that you felt you were no longer drinking at a, we always say in moderation, eating and drinking in moderation. I
Right.
remember when I was pregnant with my son, and it started to occur to me how many times you walk into an event. I do a lot of events and someone says, "Would you like a drink?" And it was hard for me to conceal the pregnancy because everybody was drinking and I'm like, "I'll have juice."
That's
And they're
right.
like, "You're pregnant," because everyone was drinking.
Well, I think for me, I drank for about 17 years. So I started drinking when I was 14 and increased. It decreased over the years. If I was more stressed, I drank more. When I was going through a breakup or a hard period of time, I drank more. And so I think that's one of the most interesting pieces of this is that we have this idea of alcoholic drinkers, and then we have this idea of normies or normal drinkers. And there's really a binary situation which doesn't allow for gray area. It
Mm.
doesn't allow for the fact that we might be just drinking a little bit more, but we might not qualify for alcohol use disorder, but that it doesn't feel good. And so I spent about 17 years going back and forth and kind of riding the up and down because I was expected to incorporate it in my life. And I think for me, what really changed was understanding that it was not about not being able to do it, which I think a lot of us feel like we don't want to not be able to
Mhm.
drink. It was really this idea that, oh, I don't have to do
Right.
this. I don't have to center my life around this. And that was the foundation of what helped me quit drinking.
Because a lot of people, I love this area that you call the normies, because so much of even how we associate self-care. And this show is not about saying, okay, you're going to lose everything, you're going to ruin everything, and it's a disease. This is that behavior, to your point, where it's
Yeah,
just a normal thing. You walk in, before you can order the meal, you're asked, what would you like to drink? When you want to
yes,
decompress with girlfriends, you don't say, let's go get coffee, let's go get drink. And that's the
that's right.
normalization of it, which doesn't mean that drinking is bad. I had a couple of glasses last night, but do we
That's
feel we
right.
need it?
That's right. And we want to be really careful, right? We don't want to turn this into another thing that women aren't supposed to do or
Right.
another thing that's like a bad thing. You have to be really careful about this, that this is about really asking ourselves and understanding our relationship with something because it is so normalized. And especially in pandemic, you saw at the very beginning, you see Ina Garden making, cocktails in the morning. You see, Padma Lakshmi drinking tequila straight from the bottle.
Here
You
on
see
our
Molly
show,
Sims
we
drinking
had a
tea.
we had a
That's
whole
right.
show dedicated to it, and I'd do it again with a new, fresh perspective, though. But listen,
That's right.
having a cocktail is okay, but we were bearing the
That's
brunt
right.
of a bigger issue.
Well, when we're saying like this is how we get through, I mean that's kind of the cheap ticket, right?
Mm.
We have so much going on. We're led, we drink and we numb out because there's a lot of stuff that's going on and a lot of stuff that's been amplified in pandemic. There are a lot of reasons that cause us to need to escape, and then we're sold this cheap like ticket that alcohol, right? Like which is a toxic, a neurotoxic, carcinogenic, addictive substance is the thing that we're supposed to do. And oftentimes alcohol, it doesn't provide a ton of benefit, especially if we're consuming it, in great quantities. It disrupts our sleep, it causes depression,
Right.
it
So, but at the
amplifies
end of the day, are
anxiety.
you saying no, women don't drink? That this is just that the path to this liberation is just giving it up? What is your balance there?
Yeah, I think it's no, I think it's
Mm.
informed consent. And I think it's like really creating a culture where we bring awareness into the conversation. So, in my own case, my life has significantly improved. My life is so much better because I don't even think about it
Wow.
anymore. It is something that has allowed me to actually confront what's going on. I don't use this very numbing drug
Right.
consistently to deal with my feelings. On the other hand, it is not about saying, oh, we all shouldn't drink, but it is, I think, allowing ourselves to explore what our own personal relationship is with it
Right. And that's the
and
key.
actually what the substance is.
That's what this show is about today. And I just appreciate you launching the hour off in the way that you have. The book that Holly has just blown everybody away with. It is called Quit Like a Woman: The Radical Choice to Not Drink in a Culture Obsessed with Alcohol.